Hello, people of the world watching new vehicle reviews on the internet. Welcome to this, the 2025 Volkswagen GTI SE, or the Mark 8.5 for you car enthusiasts. Today I'm going to get up in the air, we're a nerd out in tech specs, see what all has changed with the mid-cycle refresh, and then go give it the beans. Alright, first things first, the exhaust system. All stainless steel in construction, dual outlet Tenneco, made in Poland. And fun fact, the muffler and mid-pipe have different part numbers for the Mark 8.5 versus the Mark 8, despite looking exactly the same. Out back, the GTI utilizes an all-steel in construction, multi-link rear suspension, steel rear knuckles, and it's paired with a set of ZF-sourced rear dampers manufactured in Deutschland, plastic shielding for aerodynamics, rear anti-sway bar, which is bolted directly to the bottom of the rear subframe, measures in at approximately 22mm and change diameter, unchanged from the Mark 8. Lots of heat shielding, and of course, chassis vacs for corrosion prevention. Take note of the size of the gas tank. This thing has almost 500 miles of range on a full tank. The Volkswagen GTI is built on VW's MQB platform, and this being post mid-cycle refresh makes it the 8.5 generation. The SE model, as you see above, weighs in at 3,183 pounds. Little steel chassis brace, keep things stiff, and yet again another chassis brace. Made in Germany. The piping actually says VW on it. That's awesome. Mid-pipe measures in at approximately 65mm in diameter, a little more than 2.5-inch SAE. As far as the transmission is concerned, sadly, the Mark 8 was the final generation to offer the 6-speed manual transmission in the US, despite having a 40% take rate. Now it comes standard with the DQ381 7-speed wet dual clutch gearbox with a maximum torque input rating of 420 Newton meters or 309 pound-feet, has a final drive ratio of 3.125, and comes standard with the VAQ torque sensing limited slip front differential. Now here's one of the benefits of the GTI over the R. A lot easier to access back here for maintenance because there's no drive shaft or power takeoff unit. So looking up inside there, you got the downpipe to your right, the turbocharger is way up top. The lighting isn't the greatest. Hey, look at that, there's a filter for possibly a transmission. Also, just like the R though, this aluminum subframe that has all kinds of little access areas where you can get your hands up inside there to undo hardware, making it easier for maintenance. I love this design. Made in Deutschland. Peeking up through that subframe, you can see the variable ratio electric power steering rack with only 1.96 turns lock to lock. Up front, it utilizes a McPherson strut style suspension. With aluminum front knuckles, you can see the lower ball joints are completely removable from the lower control arm and the knuckle. Again, paired with a set of those ZF-sourced coilover strut assembly front dampers. There's a rock up there. I got it. It's a super smooth pebble. It's like half of one. It broke into half. Pebble not included. Time for the braking test. Nothing behind me. Ready, set, stop. Okay. Spicy. Very aggressive ABS. Pretty good braking, but because it's on all-season tires, I was expecting a hair better than what I got, and I'm pretty sure it has to do with the all-season tires, but still a smidge above average. That braking was just made possible thanks to a fairly large single piston front caliper with a set of 340mm or 13.4-inch front rotors. The wheels, these are the standard SE model 18 by 7.5 with a positive 51mm offset alloy, wrapped in a set of 225 40 18-inch Goodyear Eagle Sport all-season tires. Inner fender liner, plastic, good. And ride height, almost a foam finger's width. You can see there are some functional vents in the front wheel well. While subtle, the front end is completely restyled for the 8.5 headlights. Bumper has this little tooth looking thing, but the fog stayed the same, I'm glad. This little blepping tongue in the middle is the radar for the robots to see where the car is. I don't know how I feel about the GTI badge on the door. I'll let you guys decide. That is an incredibly thick texture coat on the rockers. VW takes corrosion seriously. Rear inner fender liners, carpeted. In the rear, you have another single piston caliper, but down to a 12.2 or 310mm rotor. Wheel and tire, same size as you have up front. In the name of science, it is now time to give this thing the beans. But first, assessment of bolstering. Yep, it's good bolstering. It's kind of weird because I'm wearing suede and the seat is made out of suede. I thought I was gonna start a fire or end up in another dimension doing that. Because this is the SE model, it has these gray and black Alcantara suede seats with the red piping GTI stitched into it, honeycomb waffle pattern. The ass bolsters are very durable feeling cloth. The seats are heated. The steering wheel is also heated. For those that were not a fan of the touch capacitive buttons, they're gone. You have physical controls now on the steering wheel, which is flat bottom, has a little GTI badge. As far as drive modes go, I have a quick access little button. Touch that. I can go from eco to comfort to sport and custom. And inside custom, there's actually a lot that you can configure. An engine sound exterior. What? I did not see a valve on the muffler when I was looking underneath there. Exterior sound, comfort. Sport. I don't hear, oh, maybe that's for a pops and bangs tune. I can also move the shifter diglet down into drive or hit it again to put the transmission into a sport mode. As far as traction control goes, that is done via the infotainment system menu. Tap on the little picture of Volkswagen, looks more like an ID model. And then I can tap on ESC system and go from activated to sport or fully off, which I must confirm in the gauge cluster. All right, give this thing a little launch, see what it can do. Ready? Go. Ooh, a little bit of wheel spin. Spicy, I like the little fart on the shift from the dual clutch. That's good. Oh yeah, oh, crackles too. Man, I don't know, you get more drama from the two-wheel drive GTI than you do the R. That makes it exciting. Hood pop. Pretty heavy hood. What? They didn't paint underneath the hood of the Mark 8.5 Volkswagen GTI is the EA888 Evo 4, which is a 2-liter iron block with aluminum head, dual overhead cam, single turbocharged 4-cylinder that produces 241 horsepower from 5,000 to 6,500 RPM and 273 pound-feet of torque from 1,600 to 4,500 RPM. Now that has changed from the Mark 8, the point in which the horsepower and the torque are achieved and the duration in the power band. In Europe, they got a bump of 20 additional horsepower. Torque remained the same, but here in the States, we did not. However, we see some differences in the power band and also, like I mentioned earlier, different part numbers for the exhaust system. So it seems like we got some of the parts from the European model, but not the ECU tune that raised the horsepower up. Hey, look at that, an engine cover. The Mark 8s had a situation. It looks like teeth or a Hulk fist. You can see the engine is oriented with the intake manifold front facing. It's a plastic manifold with the charge motion flap system. Alternator directly underneath it. The valve cover manufactured out of aluminium. The turbo is just barely tucked under the wiper cowl, runs at a peak of just over 32 PSI. Now, when I was doing my investigative research looking for part numbers on the VW part website, I didn't see anything else that was changed engine-wise, still the same engine as the Mark 8 and same turbo from what I can tell. The engine is undersquared at an 82.5 by 92.8 millimeter bore and stroke with a 9.6 to 1 compression ratio. Moving up to the cylinder head, it does have variable valve timing on intake and exhaust cam, as well as it has the Audi valve lift system on the exhaust valves. It is a timing chain driven engine with direct fuel injection only. Big old plastic air box, you got your 12-volt battery, fuse box, and ECU all on this side. It appears to have an electronic brake booster, plastic charge pipe running right above the top of the transmission under the air box, which flows to a fairly large, thin front mount intercooler behind the AC condenser. One of the biggest complaints obviously is going to be the lack of the 6-speed manual on the GTI, but my biggest complaint is going to be the lack of paint in the engine bay on the SE model. Beans engage. Felt the front is fighting for traction there. Spicy. Good. This thing moves out. It's quick. I just had the Golf R not too long ago. This doesn't feel that much slower than the Golf R. I mean, that car weighs more, so. Yep, you notice in the corner that, yeah, this is good. Oh, this thing even on all seasons. It's refreshing to drive a car that isn't super heavy. Like 90% of the vehicles I review lately are tipping over 4,000 pounds plus. This one just a hair over 3,000 pounds. So much of a difference weight plays in the enjoyment of driving a car on a windy road. It's incredible. Back in the day, I would always say that the Golf R was better than the GTI because all-wheel drive is always going to be better than front-wheel drive, especially growing up in New Hampshire where it's winter 9 months out of the year basically. But on dry asphalt, I would argue the GTI is more fun because it's more playful, especially when the traction control's fully off and you can literally do rolling burnouts mid-corner with this thing if you punch it. It's like, you would say that's a flaw in terms of the ability to not be able to put the power down to the ground, but that flaw is what adds enjoyment, gives it character, makes it fun to drive. There's a lot of people that don't like front-wheel drive cars. I don't know, a properly sorted front-wheel drive car, hot hatch, is just an absolute blast to drive. And this is one of the best examples of it. Do I miss the 6-speed manual option? Yes, but the DSG is just phenomenal. I mean, it acts like a manual because mechanically it technically is. It's just a robot doing the clutch pedal work for you. Manual mode's a lot of fun in this thing. Absolute blast to drive just with the paddles. It does a great job of doing what you want when you want it to. It doesn't try to default back to knowing better than you do. The only time it does that is it won't let you bounce off of rev limiter in manual mode, which I don't know why you'd ever want to do that, but still, that's a little bit of robots doing more than they should. The power band is awesome, just that good torque shove everywhere you want it. Makes a lot of nice sounds too. You can hear little bits of induction sucking sounds at lower speeds, so you don't hear the wind noise, and little burbles and pops coming out the back end. Honestly, the SE package is a good balance of having pretty much everything you need. The Autobahn kind of gets into the realm of, if you're spending that much, then just get an R. That's the way I look at it. Now I am going to hit the mode, and I'm going to put this thing in comfort, and since it's fixed suspension, it should just be throttle input, really. Yeah, there's a delay there. There's absolutely a delay. I like that the R has the R button on the steering wheel, just kind of that quick access to performance. I mean, it's not that hard to reach over to put it into sport mode, but after reviewing the R and having that there, I do miss that in the GTI. Hands down, the best feature about a GTI is how you open the hatch. I hope they never change this. And the backup cameras behind it. As far as storage capacity, you have that much. And underneath here, there's a huge donut. What size is that? T125/70R18. That is a strange donut. Subwoofer. A very German little pouch. First aid kit. Love that. That's about it back. Oh, wait, no. There's a little outlet and an LED light. And because Volkswagen, it's got the little safety triangle in the hatch. Very common in Europe. You don't really see that much in the States. It has a picture of where to put your hand, and I think that looks like an Audi TT. This is the back seat of a GTI. The center console in front of you has a face like an overly eager robot that you can play with its eyeballs. Hand warmers. There's also another pocket down below on either seat. For the price of the car, the backseat door cards don't look cheap. It's got suede on there, the ambient light, carpeted pocket, same texture pattern back here. This, oh, that's a solid armrest. It's got this nice satisfying tension to it. Little access cubby, also very solid feeling. Rear seats do not recline though. Oh, the doors are even solid. They got some heft to opening them up. Oh, that's nice. It tells you goodbye after. The sunroof control area is touch capacitive. Oh, weird. You can leave the shade closed with the window open. Huh. Okay. The door cards are covered in gray suede. You can see there's ambient light, which you can change the color of. Same with on the dash. Just below it is this zippy textured gray plastic with triangles. The cup holder area has an old school 12-volt charge port, as well as a little switchblade cup holder. Center armrest area is small, but actually rather deep. That feels sturdy. Does it slide? It does. Wireless phone charge cubby, as well as 2 USB-Cs. Cleverly placed vents down low in case you get swamp ass driving. Touch capacitive area for the climate control, where you can control it in the infotainment system menu, or just below it, it's hard to see, there's actually temperature sliders, touch capacitive built in. For the price of the car, the Harman Kardon sound system doesn't really get any better than this. It's extremely well balanced and powerful enough, has great bass, good highs, nice crisp and clear, doesn't distort when you turn it up high. There is a little bit of muscle memory that it takes to learning where everything is because there's a lot packed into it. So sometimes at first it can be a little annoying to navigate. And it has an AI chat companion built into it, which apparently doesn't like being out in the middle of nowhere. The headlight controls are touch capacitive. What's kind of neat though is you can turn on your fog lights while just the parking lights are on. Gauge cluster is full digital. It displays some telemetry in the menu. The GTI is an excellent example of why cars make better daily drivers than crossovers. It's a hatchback, so it's still plenty capable of hauling things on the inside. It's a 5-door, which I will argue the disappearance of the 3-door hatchback GTI in the States was worse than losing the manual transmission option because the DSG is so phenomenal. But because this thing is a car and it's got a lower center of gravity and suspension designed to handle the best on asphalt, it makes a better all-around daily driver than a crossover, which is trying to do 2 things at once: be somewhat off-road capable with a lifted ride height and also be on-road comfortable. Just, it doesn't work as good as a car does. I'll always argue that. And with the average price of new cars being fucking expensive, this GTI in the middle of the model range at 38 grand, this is a perfect daily driver. I'm surprised you don't see more of these on the road. Now there are some faults with this, namely one, the paint job. Not painting the engine bay the same as the body color, not acceptable. Also, the silver, I'm sure it's sprayed by a robot. It's kind of splotchy. Maybe it's because I've painted cars in the past myself and I know to look for this, but I can see kind of inconsistencies in the metallic on the silver paint. Interior quality wise though, definitely solid point there. And the infotainment system, it's doing a lot. The chat GPT or AI or whatever it is built into it, I don't know anyone that's ever asked for that in a car before. If you have it on your smartphone, that's one thing, but why do you need that in a car? I do appreciate that the tech and safety robot driving aids that are built into this are not overly intrusive compared to some vehicles, Subaru. Other issue I have is the fact that we don't get the spicier versions of the GTI here in the States, like the Club Sport or the upcoming Anniversary Edition. I don't think that's coming to the States. And we didn't get the 20 horsepower bump. From what I can tell, it would be interesting to put this on a dyno and see if it makes any more power than Mark 8. Fuel economy wise, absolutely phenomenal for the level of performance and fun you get out of the vehicle, especially if you're just average cruising and you have it in comfort mode. Excellent, excellent fuel economy. And it's got a massive fuel tank on top of that, so great range. Thankfully, there's still some healthy competition out there for the GTI, the WRX, the Integra, the Civic Si. So at least this group of car category isn't dying out. And I'm hopeful for the next generation and that hopefully we'll get another internal combustion engine version, a 9th generation GTI and an R. It's now time to give this GTI some scores. Starting with the bean score, the assessment of feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. And it gets a rating of. Next is the cookie score, the assessment of value. And this SE model with no options added to it at about $38,000, it gets a rating of. Considering how expensive most new cars are, that's not terrible and you get a lot for the SE package, but the real gem is still probably just gonna be the base model. Next is the wrench score, the assessment of ease of maintenance, and it gets a rating of. Followed by the squid score, the assessment of handling, and it gets a rating of. Lastly is the penguin score, the assessment on how much I personally like a vehicle, and the GTI gets a rating of. With how soul-sucking and appliance-like new vehicles are starting to get, this thing is still a breath of fresh air. Did I say that right? Breath of fresh air? Anyway, I'll see you guys soon with another review. Bye! This video is sponsored by me, my very own car detailing product company, RoboBubble, made in USA. And if you'd like to use what I use to keep my cars clean and also support this channel, this is how you can on my website, sarahandtune.com. Thanks!